negative things. First of all, their styles mesh so well together. Like, it's not even funny how well Caitlin Clark and Paige, or not Paige Beckers, and Paige Beckers, they mesh well together. But like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
What if the rivalry everyone's been arguing about online was never actually real? For months, fans kept asking whether Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese could ever share the same floor without sparks flying. But during the WNBA All-Star Game weekend exhibitions, something totally different unfolded. Instead of clashing, their styles started clicking in a way nobody saw coming. While the internet kept pushing the rivalry narrative, these two stepped on the court and quietly put together a performance that looked straight-up dominant. The pace, the reads, the confidence, it felt natural, almost like they'd been running sets together for years. And once the cameras caught the sequence everyone's talking about, the whole conversation around this duo started to flip. Watch this.
The ball up. Because in the half court, we saw when the game opened up, Caitlin Clark needs her target. For lack of a better word, where it's like, Caitlin Clark, when she's running the pick and roll, needs a target. Like, you could see her when she got one to Monique Billings. She got a really good pass to Monique Billings where Monique Billings missed the midi. But you could see when the pick and roll was set, Caitlin was like stopping for a second or two and is like...
That sequence right there? Yay. That's a kind of basketball instinct you can't teach. You just saw Angel reset the screen, explode into the roll, and instantly seal her defender like she already knew exactly where Caitlin Clark was going with the ball. No hesitation, no second guessing, just pure hoop IQ moving at the same lightning pace Clark plays with. And that's what makes this moment so wild. When Clark first started building chemistry with Aliyah Boston, it took months for that timing to become automatic. Even elite scorers like Kelsey Mitchell needed half a season to fully lock into Clark's rhythm, figuring out exactly when to cut, when to flare, when to crash the lane. But Reese? She's reading the floor like she's been running this action for years. And the crazy part is they've never even shared a real WNBA lineup together. Now watch what happens on the very next possession.
Other players don't like have that natural instinct to go. And even with like playing the WNBA, even a Kelsey Mitchell, it took her half a season to realize, okay, I'm just going to cut. I'm going to start cutting. It took Aliyah Boston a season to figure, or till the Olympics, to figure out how to play with Caitlin. And now Aliyah Boston is like...
That last clip tells you everything about the tempo they're playing at, right? Because matching the processing speed of Caitlin Clark isn't normal. Most players need weeks, sometimes months, to figure out how fast she reads a floor. But what you're watching with Angel Reese is different. She's reacting in real time, making the same split-second decisions, almost like they're running off the same basketball instinct. And when you really think about it, that's crazy. The Indiana Fever spent an entire season building the Clark to Aliyah Boston chemistry that fans know today. National teams like United States Women's National Basketball Team usually need weeks of training camp just to develop reads like this. But Reese? She steps on the floor and instantly becomes the exact kind of target Clark thrives with. The screen setter who knows a precise second to roll, the rebounder crashing the glass with purpose, the post present sealing defenders at the perfect moment. And once that connection started clicking, the next play made the crowd realize something serious might be forming here. Just watch this.
She sets good screens. She rolls hard to the basket. She catches offensive rebounds. Everyone loves someone who catches offensive rebounds. And she seals. Like, when it's all said and done, the trio, the best lineup for Team USA contains Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers.
Now hold on, because that last clip looked smooth, but this is where things suddenly got messy. During that same exhibition run, there were multiple possessions where Angel Reese grabbed a defensive rebound, and instead of looking for Caitlin Clark to initiate a break, she pushed the ball up the floor herself. Full speed, coast to coast, completely bypassing Clark in transition. And the cameras didn't miss it either. You could see Clark's reaction on the sideline, a little frustration, a little confusion. That was all social media needed. Within minutes, the clips were everywhere, fans breaking down every frame, asking the same question. Was Reese icing Clark out on purpose? Was the rivalry still simmering even when they were technically on the same side? Just like that, the internet ran wild with the narrative, people claiming these two simply can't coexist on the same court. But then another angle surfaced, and it completely changed how this moment looked. Watch this.
It's frustrating watching Angel Reese look off Caitlin Clark. I don't think that was intentional. I don't think it was intentional. I stand by that. I do not think it was intentional. I think Angel Reese's first instinct when she gets a rebound is to put the ball on the floor. That's what I believe her first instinct is. I don't think it's a case where Angel Reese is actively going and trying to, piss off Caitlin Clark. I think it is just a fact that Angel Reese has played.
But here's the thing. Once you actually look at the full context, that viral narrative starts falling apart pretty fast. Because Angel Reese wasn't freelancing or trying to freeze anybody out. All season long with the Chicago Sky, she's been operating almost like a point forward. Her role has often been to secure the rebound and immediately push the tempo herself. And when you look at the guards she's played alongside, players like Rachel Banham, they're not always dominating the ball in transition situations. In other settings, she shared the floor with creators like Chelsea Gray, who also don't necessarily sprint to grab the outlet every single time. So for Reese, grabbing the board and taking off isn't disrespect. It's muscle memory. It's a habit built from playing a specific role on multiple teams where she's expected to initiate the offense the second she touches a rebound. The real conversation isn't whether she was intentionally looking off Caitlin Clark. The real question is whether that instinct can shift when she's sharing the floor with one of the most elite facilitators in the game. And interestingly enough, when the pace slowed down and the game moved into the half-court sets, that's when the real magic started showing up. Check this out.
Do it. In the half-court, as a screen and roller, as a sealer, as a player to run the break. Angel Reese, as far as IQ is I'm not going to even say it's IQ because I don't think it's necessarily something that can be quantified by IQ. But Angel Reese as a, how do I say this? Instinct-wise. She is the only forward that naturally, I think Aaliyah Boston.
And that right there is where the conversation gets really interesting. Because analysts keep coming back to one word when they talk about elite floor generals, processing speed. It's not just basketball IQ. It's how fast a player can read a defense, spot the opening, and fire the pass before anyone else even realizes it's there. And that's exactly what makes Caitlin Clark so dangerous. She's seeing plays develop 2 seconds before the defense reacts, anticipating cuts before teammates even fully commit to them. That's the superpower. But here's the catch. Most players simply can't operate at that speed. They're a step behind the read, a half second late on the cut, and the window closes. That's why playing with Clark can be tricky for even great players. But in that half-court action you just saw, there was one player who actually looked comfortable at that pace. And the next sequence might be the clearest example yet. Watch this.
Big, that naturally has instincts almost to the same level of speed, who processes the game as fast as Caitlin Clark. It is rare. The difference in processing speed between a Hamby and a Caitlin Clark and a Reese is huge. I think mobility is fine, but even in processing speed, the difference between Kiki and Angel Reese is huge. If you put Caitlin Clark with a bunch of elite processors of the game,
and if you watch the tape closely, you can actually see that timing in real time. When Caitlin Clark runs a pick and roll, there's always that tiny pause, just a split second where she's scanning the floor, already calculating where the defense is about to break. With most teammates, there's a delay. They are still reading the coverage while Clark has already made the decision. That's why the pass sometimes looks risky, because she's throwing it before the play fully develops. But with Angel Reese, the timing suddenly locks in. Reese hits the screen, explodes into the roll, and seals her defender at the exact moment Clark is ready to fire the pass. Same urgency, same rhythm, same instinct. And that's the crazy part. You can't manufacture that chemistry in a couple of practices. That's high-level basketball intuition. 2 players processing the game at the exact same speed. And once the defense started realizing what was happening, the next possession turned into absolute chaos. Watch this.
you have, no matter what the circumstances are, you've got a winning team. Like, if you put Caitlin around Stewie, around, I don't think age or process the game quite at their level. But like, when you look at this actual team, and you look at like when Sarah Strong probably comes in for the Olympics, elite process.
Now put that sequence side by side with how other elite players have had to adjust to Caitlin Clark style, and the difference really stands out. Take Aliyah Boston, for example. By the end of the 2024 season with the Indiana Fever, Boston had evolved into Clark's perfect pick-and-roll partner. She learned exactly when to dive to the rim, when to pop out for space, when to seal the defender for that easy bucket. But that connection didn't happen overnight. Early in the season, you could actually see the hesitation. Boston would set the screen and pause for a beat, still deciding whether to roll or slip while Clark had already made the read. That tiny delay was enough to throw the timing off. But as the season progressed, something changed. By the time the playoffs rolled around, those hesitations were gone and the two were moving like they'd been running that action for years. Which makes the next moment even more interesting, because what you're about to see suggests that kind of chemistry might not take nearly as long in this case. Watch this.
Caitlin Clark, elite processor. Stewie, elite processor. And Aaliyah, elite processor. Angel. You got 5 of those. Maybe Alyssa Thomas is there who does process the game.
And that's a mind-blowing part. Angel Reese is already locked in. No months of practice. No endless film sessions. No coaching tweaks needed. She just gets it. The timing, the reads, the instinct, it all clicks naturally. And that's exactly why this partnership has everyone buzzing about Team USA's future. Because if Clark and Reese can hit this kind of rhythm in just a few exhibition games, just imagine what's possible once they actually get structured practice time together heading into the 2028 Olympics. The possibilities are insane, and the next clip might give you a glimpse of just how unstoppable they could be. Check this out.
Okay, what's about it? Angel Reese is making this Olympic team. She's making the World Cup team. We're not even having a discussion about this. She is. And I do think, as far as like players that fit, if you want to run around, if you want to play with Caitlin Clark as your facilitator and kind of build a system around her, which I do think suits a lot of players, like, man, Angel Reese might be pushing for a starting spot.
And here's where it gets really serious for Team USA. The current Olympic roster leans on the established stars, Breanna Stewart, Adja Wilson, and that old guard from the Diana Taurasi era. But by 2028, that whole picture changes. Caitlin Clark will be 26, entering her absolute prime. Angel Reese will be 26 too. Paige Buchers hits 27, and rising stars like Sarah Strong could be 23. Suddenly, you've got a Team USA rebuild around a new generation. And that's the real puzzle USA basketball has to solve. What kind of system do you build around this? Do you stick with a veteran-heavy, ISO-driven formula that's been gold medal proven? Or do you craft a setup that actually fits the strengths of these younger, lightning-fast players? Because if Clark is your primary facilitator, you need teammates who can match her processing speed, cutters who read the floor, screeners who roll instinctively, post players who move at her pace. And that's where Reese becomes invaluable. Not necessarily the flashiest scorer, not the most dominant rebounder, but someone whose instincts are perfectly aligned with Clark's. That kind of synergy, it's worth way more than any stat sheet can measure. And now, if you think this sounds exciting, wait until you see the final sequence that makes everyone in the gym stop in their tracks.
They absolutely destroyed Puerto Rico today. And it's one of those things where I don't think anyone's just... A lot of people are looking at this and are like, it was just a bad performance all around. But it's like, there's still flashes. There is still flashes. Someone said it'd be nice to see Caitlin play with Stewie. Yes, I fully believe Stewie again is another one of these players that would just fit Caitlin Clark.
Wow, that last clip really sums up why this duo has people talking. The pick and roll is basketball 101, but at the elite level, it's all about perfect sync. The ball handler reads the defense in real time. The screener anticipates whether to roll, pop, or slip. Both players need to process the same info at the same speed. Even a half-second mismatch, the whole play collapses. Late pass, recovering defender, miss opportunity. That was Clark's biggest rookie challenge. Her reads were faster than most teammates' reactions. Half a second too slow, and what should have been an open layup becomes a contested shot. But with Angel Reese, that's never a problem. She's rolling before the pass leaves Clark's hands. She's crashing the boards before the shot goes up. That instinctive timing is what separates good chemistry from elite chemistry, and they're showing it without ever practicing together. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Can these two actually coexist long-term? The skepticism is real. The college rivalry was intense. Social media still buzzes with debates. And yes, there's history. But the footage tells a different story. When Reese initially looked off Clark in transition, she immediately adjusted in the half-court. She set screens without direction, sealed defenders perfectly for assists. That's not freezing out a teammate. It's real-time adjustment. Clark's response? No sulking. No ego. She runs a pick-and-roll with Reese again on the very next possession. That's maturity. That's professionalism. That's winning over ego. And here's the bigger picture for Team USA. If Angel makes a 2028 roster and all signs point to yes, USA Basketball needs a plan to maximize this pairing. That means designing sets around Clark-Reese pick-and-rolls, clarifying roles in transition, and letting instinct complement instead of collide. The blueprint is already out there. Look at how the Indiana Fever eventually structured Clark-Boston's offense. Early confusion turned into playoff-level clarity. 4 years is enough to transform exhibition chemistry into Olympic gold-level chemistry. Because at the highest level, it's all about reads and reactions happening faster than conscious thought. Two players reacting to the same moment in perfect sync. Trust forged in repeated high-pressure success. Clark and Reese showed in just one exhibition that the foundation exists. Now it's up to USA Basketball. Are they willing to adapt, build systems around these younger players, and move away from the veteran-dominated model? This is more than a one-game flash. It could be the start of the next great Team USA dynasty. So, what do you think? Can they put rivalry aside and become the cornerstone of a new era? Or is history, ego, and divided fan bases too big to overcome? Drop your take in the comments. And if you want WNBA analysis that cuts past the clickbait and gets to what really matters, hit that subscribe button, because we're breaking down the stories that define the game.